Hello everyone, I am Dr. Mukhtar Ullah, Dean of Engineering, Fast National University of Computer and Emerging Sciences, Islamabad campus. This is my fourth lecture in Black Hole. So those of you who have already attended my lectures, they know my philosophy. I wouldn't say this is a direct follow-up of those lectures, but this will depend a lot on the ideas. But you don't need to assume anything. So I just imagine that everyone is not aware of what I covered in my earlier lectures. So the problem is very simple. And before that, I also want to give two disclaimers. So one disclaimer for the students, if you are a student, and one disclaimer for the instructor, teacher, instructor, tutor, whatever name you want to prefer. So if you are a student and if you are looking for shortcuts without understanding the subject, without developing a thorough conceptual basis for problem solving, then you cannot benefit from this lecture, because I am not a conventional tutor. So if you think that by attending this lecture in person or online you will magically get some shortcuts, that is not the goal, because there are many academies, many tuition centers, they are doing that much better than I could manage. And if you are a teacher and if you are into teaching, not because teaching is your passion, but because you have nothing else to do, and you just want to gather many shortcuts to ease your job, then this is also not for you. So this is for the teacher and for the student who is actually passionate about science, who is passionate about mathematics, engineering, technology. So STEM is actually science, engineering, technology and mathematics. One thing is missing here, and that is actually language. So the reason I came up with this lecture is that problem solving becomes challenging not because of mathematics, not because of your lack of remembering the right formula. So typically if you think, because I assume that the student is of a class who wants to learn. So let's say you have all these texts. So you come to me and you say, okay, I am attending all the lectures, I am going to school regularly, to the tutor. Even if you are a university student, you say, okay, I go to my professor even in his office, I study, I practice a lot of examples, exercise questions, I understand the lectures, I also watch YouTube videos. There is nothing that I am not doing, yeah, and I also believe that I am intelligent. So with all these attributes, I cannot solve new problems. So why? That is the problem, okay? So I don't think that in this one lecture I can teach you mathematics or physics or engineering. That is something for which you need a lot of time and a lot of resources, and all the resources are available online, yeah, in books. There are wonderful books. My lecture is mostly about the strategy. So there is a strategic mistake on our part. So here is the thing. What do we mean by a STEM problem? Okay. So if you understand what is meant by a STEM problem, then you will get an idea of why people fail to solve new problems. So a STEM problem is one in which, of course, you will get details either given in the form of text, paragraph, graphs, figures. So there are multiple media involved, yeah, some tables, graphs, text, and of course numbers, some pieces of details. So it's more like a reading comprehension. So if you have problems in your language, and if your reading comprehension in the English language is weak, chances are high that you don't even understand what is being asked. So if you do not understand what is being asked, then no amount of mathematics, no amount of formula, no amount of practice can help you. Because unfortunately what we mean by practice is doing those problems, and each problem is just a slightly modified version of another problem. So although you solve hundreds and thousands of problems, but they do not differ very much from each other, okay? And you never learn how to interpret the question. You just catch phrases and so on and so forth. So the number one thing is about reading comprehension, okay? But that is not everything. So I assume that, so I will request you that you go back and you start reading, you read books in addition to your course books. Yeah? When you want to improve your English, it is not just about reading your own textbook or course books. So you have to read novels, you have to watch movies, art movies. Yeah, I mean you cannot learn English from action movies or, for example, other nonsensical movies. You need to watch serious stuff, and that is actually a necessary condition. So after that, I assume that okay, you have crossed that barrier, and now what? So this lecture starts after that, okay? So there is a group of researchers. Their background is from physical chemistry. So they face this problem just like we do, and they developed a method. And the method is so what they found out. Actually, there is a paper I can share you after this lecture. What they found out is that the reason this gap exists between the instructor and the students is that the teacher doesn't realize that he has a lot of memory. He can quickly recall tricks, facts, not only from the subject he or she is teaching, but from other subjects. So most of the time a teacher or an instructor can solve a problem quickly, not because of that course, but because of another course. Yeah, because things actually and he works at an abstraction level that is way above the student. So he cannot actually transfer all of that understanding to the student. So what happens is the student only gets impressed. Oh, how could you do that? Why didn't this come to my mind? Yeah, this is bound to happen because we are comparing two individuals who have different bases. So what they discovered was that this must change. So you must unpack the thought process. So if I write this down, I hope we have a chalk. So I'll just write down the acronym of their method. They developed a method to put some organization into this problem solving, so that there is little gap between the teacher and the students. So even if the teacher has a lot of tricks and experience, he has to solve the problem in such a way that the students can keep up the pace, and it has to be done in a very simplistic way, not relying on specialized tricks. Yeah. So if you are one of those teachers who wants to impress their students, then you cannot teach properly, because then you will only impress them. The idea is to make them independent. Yeah. So that if they come to you every now and then you have failed to teach them problem solving. Your success is to make them independent in just a few sessions. and that is only possible by this method. So S is for symbolic, L is for linked. So you have to link symbols with that paragraph in which the question is being asked. Okay, so you have a paragraph or a page. That's the problem statement. So it's not just the English, but you have to link mathematical symbols. So symbol linked. Now, normally if you are an experienced teacher, when you read, you immediately pick things. So you basically you unpack the paragraph into mathematical symbols, and you even skip many of them. So you just write the final set of variables which are going to expedite the problem solving. Okay, but that must be prevented. That is called implicit unpacking. So you unpack the question in your mind, and the student doesn't get how you did it. Yeah. So I'll just give you a very quick example of this, because this is very important. So let's say you read a question that they are okay. The sum of 3 consecutive numbers, yeah, is 10. So forget about what is being asked afterwards. Yeah. So just the question starts like the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 10. So if you are good in math and if you have worked with lots and lots of problems, what you will do? You will immediately write this. And don't feel bad if you do not come up with this trick, okay? Because this is the very thing which I am going to dismantle. This is not a good idea. So instead of starting from x and x plus 1 and x plus 2, I will start with x, and the next number will be x plus 1, and the next number will be. So now this is a trick. This has nothing to do with the concept. And if I know this, I only know this because I may have more experience. So if I solve the problem in this way, then how can you guarantee that the student will come up with such tricks in every question? That's bound to fail. Yeah. So no matter how clever you feel, you have to resist that temptation. So it like KISS, yeah, KISS, keep it simple and stupid. So if you cannot keep it simple and stupid, you cannot convey your problem solving skills to the student. So can we remove this now? Or? Okay, thank you. Okay, in the meantime, I'll just, so this is not explicit, this is implicit. Yeah, I give another example of Shahid Afridi. Yeah? Shahid Afridi, you know how many sixes has he actually hit during his career, but if you ask him, I don't think he will be able to explain how he did it. So that process is also implicit. Yeah, that's why he will not be a very good coach. So to be a good coach is not necessarily to be a good player, because you see, this is the main thing. You need to unpack that process and make it simple for the audience. Okay, so the next letter is E. E is for explicit. And unpacking, U. So you can call it SLEU, you can call it SLEU. Yeah, that is for you to decide. Yeah, SLEU. Okay. So symbol linked explicit unpacking. No shortcuts. Yeah, no impressing your students, and it will take time. It will be boring as well, because you know, if you are too good in your subject, it will be extremely boring, because you have to resist those. You know, there is actually you enjoy solving problems quickly. This is human nature. Yeah, it's called effortless, and you take pride in it. But that is only good for you as a researcher, for you when you were a student. Now you have a different role. Yeah, and now you have so many different types of students. Each one of them comes up with his or her own problems. So you have to make things easy for them. Okay. So we'll get through this method, and I'm not going to tell you. Actually, this has a few steps basically. So if you could now start with that first slide, the train example. So instead of teaching that method to you, I just picked 2 examples which they solved, and that is interactive. So we will go slide by slide, and I will take feedback from you. Yeah. So you will feel that you are the one who is solving the problem. Okay. And if that is not happening, then I am not succeeding in my lecture. Yeah. The success depends. So and I cannot take credit for this because I am just making this I would say accessible to you. This is not my work, this is not my creation. I just came to read this, and I applied this in one of my courses, and it worked. So the next slide. Okay, so here we will spend some time. These are basically the steps. So if you are a teacher and if you want to prepare material, so this is how you should do things. So let's say, so it has to be in the form of a question or a problem or an example. So you should have a title slide with the word problem. So the complete statement should be written there. Now this is very important. We have some cultural issue. So it is equally possible that I as a teacher resist, or I feel shy of showing that paragraph on screen, because the students can say, oh, why can't he remember it? So is this my test of memory? Am I going to prove something that I'm a wonderful teacher? No, that's not the purpose. I don't care how you feel about me, and you should not care how the students feel about you. Because the purpose is to make the students learn how to read the question. So if the screen does not have that question written on it, how can they learn it? So what we do, we prepare a lecture, I read the question overnight, yeah, I unpack it, and I just say, okay, x is equal to 3, y is equal to 4 meters, and this is a question. Yeah. So that whole process is actually hidden from the students. So word problem must be shown on the screen, yeah, and there is nothing wrong with it. This is actually a must. Without that, you cannot expect students to comprehend the question. Now the next stage, extract numbers and units from the word problem. Of course, this is only possible if it is in front of them. So ask them, make them do that, and if they fail to do so, only then teach them. So you wait, okay, here is the paragraph, read it, and I think all of you, maybe some of you are better than me in reading a question. So extract numbers and units, very important. If you only extract numbers and if you don't extract units, then there is end, then the rest is going to be of no use. And why? Why is important? So if I say 2, so $2, 2 rupees, is it the same? Yeah. And even this is not very, this may appeal to someone interested in money, but let's get to science, okay? So 2 meters and 2 kilograms, yeah. So 2 kilograms is a mass not because of 2, it is a mass because of kilogram. It's the unit which makes it mass. So if you are going to pick the number and if you say, okay, forget about the units, I don't know what you are trying to do, okay. That is one of the most common reason of your lack of ability to solve problems. Units, okay. I mean, if I were, because these are not my slides, if I were to write these slides, I would have written it like extract units and numbers, yeah, because units are more important. Next, assign symbols to each number and unit. Why? If I ask you why can't I just deal with numbers and units? Any idea?
Because symbols can actually more reflect the numbers.
Yeah, but I read the question, I found numbers, yeah. Why do it looks like complicating things, yeah.
Because you are heading towards making an equation, so
Yeah.
you need
You will use equations, and equations are, why algebra is powerful, yeah. So I will not write on this, but I can imagine you can easily imagine this. When you write an equation, yeah, like a plus b whole squared equals a squared plus b squared plus 2ab. Now, why is this powerful? This is powerful because it is used, it applies to each value of a and b. So you will never be able to benefit from this equation if you are not using symbols. Otherwise, you will have to write each instance of this equation. So just like we typically do, oh, let's put a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 3 and see it for that is not how you can benefit from a student. It has to be, and it's very much similar to language, yeah. In language, let's say you make an argument, just say any sentence. I would ask you, just say anything in English, one sentence, anything, because I want to make a point of what he would say.
I was trying to make just access.
I was trying to
Just makes access.
just makes
Just make access. Access.
access.
Reach.
Okay. Okay, I don't think I can benefit from that. So I wanted to link it to this. So if you say, let's say if you say that you are a good father, yeah, if you are a friend to your kids, okay, think about this. This is symbolic because you are talking about every father, not just me or you or you. So if I replace this by substituting father with a particular name, this statement will not be useful. So father is every father in this universe, both who passed away and both who are going to come, and kid is every kid, and friend. So that's exactly the role of symbols. In algebra, when you write an equation, that actually expresses a law, a principle, a rule, a relationship. You cannot have relationship between numbers. The relationship is between symbols. So if you want to benefit from your knowledge, that must be symbolic. So why am I saying this again and again? Because this is exactly the problem. We try to avoid symbols. And there is even a favorite saying that, okay, let's come up with some concrete examples. And do you know what we mean by concrete? We remove symbols. Don't show x and y to them, they will get confused. So show numbers. Oh, then they will just be dealing with numbers and they will never be able to solve problems. So if you want to be a problem solver, you have to cross that barrier. If you cannot deal with symbols, you should stop your studies. That is the end. Do something else. Yeah, and I'm not joking. I'm saying this based on my experience of, I would say, 20 years of teaching. If you cannot deal with x and y, science is not for you. Sorry. Yeah, science is not for 2 and 3. If you prefer 2 and 3 instead of x and y, then that's the end. Okay. So whoever lures you into simple problem solving by making it nowadays there is this very there is this proliferation of gamification. Okay. What is gamification? It's a joke. It's about avoiding the abstract symbols and replacing them with concrete things So then you will be playing games the whole your whole life. Okay, you cannot innovate. People innovate not because of games; they innovate because they have abstract thoughts. Do you know what is the difference between animals and humans? Animals do everything in concrete. They experience something and only then they learn. Humans learn without experiencing it because they can imagine. Yeah, you must have heard simulation. Yeah, simulation, data. Yeah, information. What is this? There is nothing concrete about it. So humans have come to this stage because they learn to cross that barrier of concreteness, and we want to pull everyone back to that concreteness. Yes.
Wanted to comment that the reason why many people don't like X and Y is because they haven't been explained what they are, what it's all about.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
what do they mean?
Yes.
They
yes.
see things that they X, Y, Z that they don't understand, and because they're not familiar with it, they get scared,
Yes, yes.
and then they want to run away. So if it's just explained very carefully that it's just an unknown, since we don't know the value, we are calling it something. And if this is just explained to them, then this may get rid of their fear.
Yeah, yeah. No, you have put it very beautifully. I don't think we can blame the students for that. I will blame the teachers for that, because if the teacher realizes why they hate symbols, the teacher should make an effort to make it accessible. So what we do, we just mold ourselves to their needs so that they don't run away from us. Let's change myself. So then you are coming to their level, yeah, and you know it is wrong. You know it is wrong. So why should you actually compromise on such a fundamental thing? You have to convince them that beta, this is the only way. Okay, and you can give examples. There are many examples. The internet is full of examples. Okay, so assign symbols to each number and unit. And I spent much time on these two because I just wanted to convey this, that this is the main problem. Okay, I don't think I should be teaching you physics or math, because maybe most of you actually know that better than me. This is a strategic lecture. Yeah, we have strategic problems. So the next thing is assign subscripts to symbols for each number. This is even more important. So if you just say x and y, that is not going to solve. So to each x and y, and just as you said, x and y are too boring. So the subscript will give them meaning. So you can say x subscript, for example, north, yeah, something related to north. Yeah, x subscript, I would say copper. Yeah, so let's say if I replace x with m, m is for mass, so mass of copper, because you have a system in which there is copper. So unless you write that copper, that m is not going to convey much, and that is the reason why people don't like these symbols. So make the symbols attractive, make them useful, link them to the problem. Okay, sorry, that thing is now gone. That L and the acronym, symbol linked. So it's your job to link it. Nobody else is going to tell you. Yeah, link the symbols to the problem by assigning them proper subscripts, and maybe in some cases superscripts as well. Once you do that, then you are ready. So you have basically, in all these stages from A to B, you have set the stage for the math to sing, because all those equations. So what we do, we spend most of the time memorizing the equations, the formulas, everything, but those formulas are not useful. You have to set the problem, to set the stage, you have to frame it so that you can benefit from them. So after that, it's just a piece of cake. Write equations for the symbols numbers, units. So this is also important because when you are writing equations, whether the equations will only have symbols or whether it will have some numbers or units, it depends on how you define those symbols. And this is also very important. Many people actually miss that as well. So I will give you two examples. Is it possible to show the no, not the example, because before this I just want to write on the board for a while. Okay. Yeah, I'll just write on top of it, okay, on that. So when you define a symbol, do not feel compelled to go with symbols in a particular book or a particular teacher, yeah. You can be free, you just choose it according to your convenience. So for example, I can, let's say I want to talk about length, yeah, length. So in some problems I can just use L, yeah. So I will say L is the length. Now when I say that, this automatically includes the unit, because a length by definition has unit. But so what does it mean? That if I add this length, I know that this L will have a number and it will also have a unit. So I can only add it to another length. So for example, I can add this to 2 meters, but I cannot add this to 2. Yeah, agreed? So maybe this is a problem in some problem. Maybe this is a bottleneck. So if that is the case, yeah, so then what you should do? Nobody can dictate you how should you define your symbols. So if you know that your problem only has meters and you don't want to deal with centimeters or feet or inches, you can define that same L to mean the number only. It's your choice. I don't want to say that you should do it every time, but depending on the problem, you should have this flexibility that in some problem, let's say this L could be the length with the units, and maybe what I can do, that okay, let's the length be L meters. Now L is also a symbol, it is also a variable, but L is no longer the length. Why? Because I have written meter explicitly. So the M or the meter is in the statement and the L is free of that unit. So now I have more freedom. I can easily write L plus 2. So if this simplifies my problem, why not? So do not feel compelled to use this or that. Choose whichever symbol you like. You can define it in whichever way you want. As long as it helps you, it is fine. Nobody can tell you, oh, why didn't you choose A? Why did you choose L? Why did you choose M? No, I can choose any symbol. And I can choose a symbol with the unit and I can choose a symbol without it, if it helps. Okay? So I think that was we should now get back to the hopefully you will not need the board again. Yeah? Yeah, so we did the word problem statement, extract numbers in units, yeah, assign symbols to each number, assign subscripts to give them meaning, yeah, customized meaning, write equations. So this is a bit of memory, or maybe you can just read the the formula sheet, yeah, and equation search. So maybe you cannot recall an equation from your memory, so then you have to search. That is where Google should help you. So what we do, we search Google for ready-made solutions. ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT, oh, I cannot recall an equation in this case, and if it gives you the equation, perfect. ChatGPT cannot give you the strategy. Sorry, it will not happen. Okay? It is the strategy which will keep humans in the loop, always. So the next version of ChatGPT will be made possible by humans, not by ChatGPT, yes? So we forget when we say AI is going to take up our jobs, who is creating these tools in the first place? Who made ChatGPT? Did it make it itself? So whenever something new comes up, you should be happy because now you have a new avenue for solving problems that were not possible in the past. So why don't you see that opportunity, that there was a job which was not there before and now that is available. So why don't you grab the opportunity instead of being afraid, oh, now everything will be captured by AI. This mentality is only for those who do not want to work hard. It's as simple as that. If you are looking for shortcuts, if you want to make money without working hard, if you want to make money without understanding things, then this will be a concern for you. Anyone who is serious about his discipline or her discipline, they should be happy for these tools because they open new avenues. So equation search, yeah, ChatGPT, yeah, Google, Wolfram, MathWorld, all these, name it. If they can help you, perfect. And do not penalize your students for searching for equations, because an equation, if somebody has derived an equation, I mean, you cannot expect them to derive it for you. Yeah? So just use it, use those equations. Last one, solve the problem. How? Substitute symbols, units into the equations and solve. So this is actually the main strategy, and I think many of you will already be aware of these steps. So this was just a refresher. My purpose was to emphasize certain things. I don't mean to say that this is something you are hearing for the first time. Everyone knows these things. Just like smoking, yeah. If there is a medical practitioner and who is smoking, you cannot, I mean, conclude that he doesn't know that smoking is bad, yeah. So many of the things, they are well settled. Everyone knows. Okay, it's just that we don't want to face the reality. So it was mostly a reality check. Okay, this is the thing. Yeah, you need to take serious. So let's move to the next slide. Yeah, okay. So I don't want you to spend too much time on this, because this is how a typical problem statement looks like, and this is how the solution will look like if you are an expert. So you see there are some wonderful symbols, and yeah, done carefully, neat, yeah, so that everything fits nicely into one page. So you will feel inferior if you need 3 pages, and then you take pride in that I did it in such a neat way by using just a few symbols, yeah, only a few symbols, and there was no cutting, no cancellation. No, this is for you, this is not for the students. Yeah. So we will take this paragraph again, and we'll come back to this later after this series of slides where we unpack the process of understanding the question, the statement. At the end, you will be able to enjoy this. Okay, those of who can see the solution, they should resist actually. I mean, they will feel bored, I know. So yeah, but that's the compromise. So the next one. Yeah, so now this is in large font. So let's read the question. So instead of me reading it, I would like you to read it, and then we go to the next slide. I'm also reading, okay?
At 2 p.m., a northbound train passes through the Newark train station terminal.
Yeah, Mike. It would be nice if you read it out for everyone.
At 2 p.m., a northbound train passes through the Newark train station traveling at 55 mph. At 2 p.m., a southbound train passes through the Philadelphia train station at 75 mph. If the train stations are 45.0 miles apart, where will the train pass? Be sure the trains are on parallel train tracks.
You know why they said it? Yeah, okay, this is obvious, yeah, but this has a very deep meaning for math, and I'll touch upon that as well, okay. Realizing these things and solving your problem despite these concerns, there is a lesson for that, okay. So if you have any thing to note, I would like you to just only note down things that you are afraid to forget. For example, if you are not sure whether you will remember this number or not, so just take as many things as possible in your notes. Yeah, that picture is a very good idea. Yeah. Just take a picture because you cannot expect me to remember these numbers. Yeah, yeah, because now it's your show. Yeah, now you will be actually solving this problem. ठीक हो गया? So by allowing you to take the picture, yeah, and taking notes, this is actually a motion against rote learning, yeah. And let me know if we can move forward. I also try to remember it. So maybe what is important is that the time. What is important to note that there are two trains, and the obvious thing to ask is that what is the same for both. So what is the same? They start at the same time. This is important. This is something which you are not going to miss. Okay, and then what is the question? So although you do not know where, and also you don't know when, but what you do know is that whatever that time will be, it will be the same for both. Yeah, because they both start at the same time. And okay, so how do I know that they are both traveling in the same line? Of course, not in the same line, but parallel to each other. Two lines parallel to each other. How do I know that? Northbound. One is northbound and the other is? So there is no other possibility. They don't need to be on the same track, but they are parallel. So this is now the thing which you should be discussing with your students. So if you spend, instead of solving 10 questions in one class, if you solve one question but discuss each and everything, and keeping them in loop, they will learn the process of unpacking the question. Yeah, even if it is boring. I know it will be boring, but this is the learning. So northbound, southbound, 2 p.m. both for the same. So now you can expect that they are moving, yeah, in the same line, of course, opposite direction, but the line is the same. So now you can expect that, okay. So and rest, of course, the speed is given, yeah. So one is at 75 miles per hour and the other is? Now, instead of just solving the question, you should also be discussing the consequences of these different speeds. Because if these speeds were the same, this problem would have been much easier. How? This is not, nobody asked this. This is not the question, but I do not want you to miss anything that can benefit your students. So things that you are going to solve, that they are important, but things that are relevant that could help them in other problems. You see, those unseen problems. So you are using this problem to help them solve other problems. It's not just this problem. So if these two speeds were the same, one thing is very clear, that where they meet, they would meet in the center. Like, yes or no? 2 p.m. is the same, line is the same, speed is the same. So what else do you think can happen? Yeah. So what? Yeah, distance. Yeah, but if the speed is the same, and the starting time is the same, then the time will also be the same. So when time and speed are the same, the distance must be the same. So they must be must meet in the middle. So what makes this question difficult is because of these two different speeds. Yeah. So we have not even started. We have not yet started, but we are learning as many things as possible just by reading the question. So make reading the questions an enjoyable exercise. Don't skip it if you want to make them independent problem solvers. Yes? Okay, the other thing. What else is common apart from this? The distance between the two stations that is given. So the total distance. So it means that this total distance is 45 miles. So now you can imagine, okay, and you can choose your origin anywhere you like. This question is not dictating you that nav arc should be your 0. This is what we do typically. We read questions, we solve questions, and from them we somehow get the impression, oh, this is where your x-axis must start from the left. Yeah. So one is north and one is south. Yeah. I mean, how can you tell? It doesn't matter. Just choose an origin which helps you. So placing an origin here would mean something for you, placing it here will mean something else for you, placing in the middle means that maybe things are positive and negative, don't mind. Just like that trick, yeah, that x and x plus 1 and x minus 1, yeah. So you put x in the middle. So that is the art part, okay. So where will the trains pass? Now this is also important. Where will the trains pass means that he is not asking you for the time, but for the position. Why is this important? Because the language is the where. Now that where must be translated to a name which is closer to mathematics. Where is not closer, but position is, because the formulas you're using will have velocity, speed, yeah, distance, position, displacement. So you take this opportunity to translate phrases and to translate them not just like in the English dictionary, yeah, but replace them with terms that are closer to mathematical language. Position, okay. Now it's obvious that because speed and distance are both given, yeah, so time is not given, only the initial time is given. So what do you expect? Which calculation do you expect? You should expect yourself calculating time from distance and speed. These are the things which must be going on in your mind without doing anything yet. And immediately once you are convinced that there is something which is going to happen, yeah, that I will be calculating time from speed and distance, you can immediately think about another possibility, that how could this question change to a new question where instead of the distance, the question gives me time, and I would be calculating distance then. So you do not leave any opportunity to imagine new questions from this SEM. So from these questions you can imagine 10 to 20 different questions if you think about each and every word. and discuss it. Don't just do it in isolation. Make it a debate. Yeah. So you can ask them, okay, what do you think is possible here? Yeah. So move on now. So now the first stage, unpacking numbers and units. So extract numbers and units from the word problem. Okay, it's in front of you. I thought he will be hiding it. So what can you write now here? Okay, don't write any symbols yet, only numbers and units. So what will you do? You will pick this 2 p.m., you will write it somewhere. Then you will write 55 and just write them with a space, yeah? So that let's say you write one thing here, one thing here, one thing here, or vertically. Then 75 meter per hour and
miles per hour distance.
Mile per hour, and where is the distance? Okay, 45 miles. So you write all these things, okay? Now to the next slide. Yeah. So just the confirmation. So it's not just writing the numbers, because we are not writing the symbols yet. Yeah. So what should be, should you write in place of symbols? You should repeat what you saw there, because you don't want to go there back and forth. So next to each number and unit, you should write enough words by just copying it from them. This will make life easier, because now you can forget about that paragraph. Yeah, so this is that first stage of unpacking. You're just unpacking the numbers and units, but keeping enough information. Now this is what you will need for the symbols. So for example, how do I choose the symbol? If I have time, I might use T. If I have, I might use V. So without writing this, that will not be easy. So why should I use X when I know velocity starts from V? So I should start with V. Yeah. So on and so forth. Okay. Next. Is there anything different? Okay, so now is the next stage. Assign symbols and subscripts to the numbers units. Okay, so now tell me, what will be your symbol for this?
T.
T, okay. And do you need that? Now here is the simplification, okay. 2 p.m. is your starting point.
Yes.
So you can take this as your 0.
Yes.
Nobody can force you, yeah, why did you not start from 0 a.m.? Yeah, just take this as your 0. 0 is your arbitrary. So you don't need any symbol for this. You might need it for another problem, but not for this problem. Now, what will be your symbol for this?
V.
V. For this?
V2.
V. Now you see subscript, why you need subscripts? Because if you say V and V, they don't add up, okay? But instead of calling it V1 and V2,
UV.
no, again, whether you call it V1 and V2 or whether you call it UV, it is math.
Yes.
We want to use subscripts which help us in solving the problem. Make them interesting, just like you said.
VNS.
So you see, the stations, Newark, Philadelphia. So you can just call them VN and VP, because writing the full name will be difficult. And if they both start from N, then you should use the first 2 letters. Now this is improvisation, you can do that better than me. But the purpose is to bring life to these symbols, because this is not math, this is physics. And you want to use math only as a tool. So forget about X and Y and A and B. Of course, you will still be needing math, but you should be able to change the language. Yeah? And the language should be, you should speak the language of the question, not the language of what you have learned. Just because you learned A and B doesn't mean that you should stick to that language. Okay. So V, N, V, P, Yeah. And total distance between Newark and Philadelphia. What will be your choice for this? Okay, D. Do we need a subscript here? No. Why? Because it's the same for both. So having a subscript here, okay, it's not wrong, but just like we didn't assign a symbol, here we don't assign a subscript. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you will not need a subscript in every question. So do not try to make rules from this example, remember. These are only guidelines. So you should just take your notes. So for each, when you are solving a problem, you should take notes, and those notes will help you in other problems. Okay? Just like the lawyers, when they solve one case, they use those arguments for another case, and they even refer, they even cite. So you can cite yourself. You just became a lawyer. Okay? So problem solving needs actually improvisation. So if you are a copycat, then this is not going to help you. Okay, so next one. So he also starts with that. You see why? Because this is likely that you also start. So the authors, actually there are 4 authors, they realize the possible mistakes. So this is also a lesson for the teachers, that you do not expect your students to get it. And not all of them, maybe some of them are clever, then they get it right in the first stage. So you should use as many slides as possible with as many intermediate stages as possible, so that you can accommodate different types of students from different backgrounds, both the clever and the dumb. And don't use the word dumb in the class. Okay. I mean, yeah, less. Less privileged or less enthusiastic. Yeah. Yes, you can come up with a name. Yeah.
So I was just thinking about my, physics that I learned many years ago.
Okay.
So I was just remembering that velocity has speed and direction.
Yes.
So that's why you have to say north and south.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
That's probably, I don't know if that
Yeah,
is
you're right.
done in the future, in the next slide or not, but I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, that is a very pertinent question. And this also actually brings another question of how much detail you are going to share with your students. Some details are important technically, but you need to hide those details not at the cost of accuracy. So if you think about it, he has done an effort, he has made an effort to hide those details without being inaccurate. So for example, this is one column and this is another column. This is not equal. This only reminds you what goes on in your mind. Okay. Similarly, so you can only check the accuracy of an equation by looking at the equal sign, because this is not math. So I should just forget about this. Okay. Unless I have an equal sign. Now what does this equal mean? That things on the left must be the same as things on the right. What is the thing on the right? 55 miles per hour. Of course this is speed. Yeah. So what is on the left? V. Now V does not have an arrow on it. So even if it is V, this is just speed. Yeah. So technically this equation is correct. It would have been more correct if we had written speed there, but we can forgive. Yeah. And you can forgive your students for that. I take only this math seriously. So if you have an arrow, then there is a problem, because then you must have something here like north or the, yeah, things like that. Or for example, what if I remove this unit? Yeah. Now how can I correct this? Let's say I remove this unit and I still want this to be correct, because I can choose, if I promise myself that I will only use miles per hour, I can choose V to be the number only. Yes. So let's say I remove this mile per hour, I just need one modification here. Velocity of Newark train in miles per hour. Now that in miles per hour is there, so you don't need to write it twice. Many people write it twice. They say, so for example, if I ask you what is your, maybe I should ask you, yeah, because you will proudly say that. What is your age in years?
24 years.
No, not 24 years. Because I said that. What is your age in years?
Yes.
24?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not going to say 24 years. ठीक है ना? Because I said that, so I asked you for the number, not for the age. So you can do that as well if you don't like to see these units. But writing units is a good idea because you learn from them.
It also
Yeah.
saves time.
No, it will not save time. No.
2 seconds is also important.
No, what I mean is that not writing miles per hour will actually save you time. And the math will be easy. But the problem is I don't care how much time I spend on this. Because when you are preparing for a cricket match, you don't care how much practice session or how much time you spend in the net, yeah? So this time will help you, this will actually pay you. When you are solving that question in an exam, there you can make a choice, okay? So, yeah. Yes?
ये पूछना चाहूँगा कि ये जैसे क्वेश्चन एक हमें लगता है कि थोड़ा डायरेक्ट आ गया
Uh-huh.
ठीक है ना तो थोड़ा सा हम कैसे ट्रेनिंग करें कि उसका एक जहन सोचना शुरू कर दे सिंपलेस्ट टर्म में ना कि यानी कि एक ट्रेन इस स्पीड से आ रही है उधर से इस स्पीड से आ रही है और कहाँ ये मीट करेंगी
Uh-huh.
तो मैं ये कह रहा था कि हम इसका कॉन्सेप्ट कैसे डेवलप करें कि एक ट्रेन को हम बिल्कुल कहेंगे भाई रुक जाओ ठीक है ना इसी को पास करने दो कब जाके उस वहाँ पे खड़ी हुई ट्रेन से मिलता है ठीक है ना फिर इसी तरह से इस ट्रेन को तो मैं कह रहा था कि स्ट्रेटजी हम इसकी कैसे डेवलप करवाएंगे स्टूडेंट को
नहीं अभी तो प्रोसेस अनपैक हो रहा है ना
नहीं।
वो आप चले गए फॉरन नेक्स्ट चैलेंज पे कि इस क्वेश्चन का जो नेक्स्ट डिफिकल्टी है वो तो पहले इस प्रोसेस को तो पहले समझे ना
एक्चुअली जो हम कह रहे थे कि स्क्रिप्ट्स आएगा ये चीज़ें लेके आ रहे हैं सिंबल लेके आ रहे हैं मैं कह रहा था स्टूडेंट्स के जहन में ये खुद ब खुद आए कि क्यों ज़रूरत पड़ने लगी है
नहीं वो तो हम बता रहे हैं ना कि अगर मैं इसको भी वी कह रहा हूँ और इसको भी वी कह रहा हूँ सो इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हेल्प मी ना मैं दोनों को वी नहीं कह सकता ना तो सबस्क्रिप्ट चाहिए मुझे समझ आ गई ना ये मतलब ये लेट्स गेट थ्रू दिस एंड देन वी विल कम टू योर बिकॉज व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज द अनसीन क्वेश्चन लेकिन अनसीन क्वेश्चन करने के लिए पहले सीन को डिस्कस करें यहां पे पता है प्रॉब्लम क्या है इट्स अगेन अ कल्चरल इशू ये है कि अगर मैं इतनी सिंपल चीजें पढ़ाऊंगा मेरे पास तो कोई आएगा नहीं यार ये तो पुरानी चीजें पढ़ा रहा है ये तो बच्चों वाली चीजें पढ़ा रहा है मुझे बिकॉज माइंड में ये है कि इंप्रेस करना है कि वाह वाह आपने कराना है तो फिर ये लेक्चर नहीं है आपके लिए सॉरी ये वाह के लिए नहीं है क्योंकि मैंने कभी भी टीचिंग वाह के लिए नहीं की आई डोंट केयर हाउ स्टूडेंट्स थिंक अबाउट मी I never care what they think about me, what they write about me, क्योंकि जब मेरा वो पर्पस हो जाएगा फिर मैं उसी की तरह नाचूंगा फिर तो स्टेज ड्रामा तो नहीं चल रहा ना टीचिंग इज माई पैशन एंड टीचिंग शुड बी योर पैशन एंड यू नो what is right and you know what is wrong okay so if they have a problem because of some previous baggage it is your responsibility to fix that baggage yeah you should not mold yourself to that So if there is a serious issue in our education system, you should try to make an effort to solve that problem, not to fall prey to it. So if you can move on now. Yeah, so N, P, and maybe some of you said D, he chose L. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. L is for length, D is for distance, no problem. Yeah. What is important is the subscript. We never discussed the subscript. Why is the subscript needed here?
Because there are two trains.
So if I don't choose a subscript, it will still be for both, but this T could help me the total. Now, how can T help me? Because T will help me that I must be adding two distances. Each train will have its own distance, its own length. So if just like I use VN and VP, what will be my symbols for lengths or for distances? LPN, LN. And if I say LN plus LP, calling it LT makes more sense. Of course, this will not change the problem, you can call it L as well, but it just puts some order into your thought process. The idea is to make your thought process more organized. Okay? तो कौन सा ठीक है, कौन सा यहाँ पे ठीक गलत का मसला नहीं है, ठीक है? जिस तरह कहते हैं ना appropriate, इंग्लिश में एक वर्ड होता है appropriate. So appropriate is not necessarily correct or wrong. Yeah, it is to that circumstance. Okay, move on. Okay, I think I can see you. Can you imagine why he didn't write MPH?
Miles per. He has.
Yeah, but MPH means the same.
Yes.
So it might be okay for you if you are a trained teacher. You can deal with MPH, miles per hour. But when you multiply speed and time, definitely hour will cancel with hour, and if you make it explicit, so that E, you should make things explicit. Yeah. So to make it so that they see the thing. Now, after they cross that barrier, they will also be dealing with MPH, but that is the next stage. Okay, so miles per hour. Okay, just write these things, and then I want to touch upon that thing कि उसने start में क्यों कहा था कि एक line में वो collide कर सकते हैं. That's important. Okay, but can you write these things now, if from your memory? I'll come to this later. Okay. Basically, this is none of it. We इनमें से कोई भी नहीं है, याद है आपको? हमने तो सिर्फ ये लिखा है ना, तो हम वैल्यू इसके लिए लिखेंगे, इसके लिए हम वैल्यू नहीं लिखेंगे. दिस इज समथिंग एल्स. सो वी एन क्या था? 55. Yeah, and this was 75. And this was 45. और यूनिट्स आपने पहले लिख दिए. What do you think is this guy doing?
Explain कर रहे कि velocity किस तरह से आप.
This tells you the advantage of using these symbols. Once you introduce V and L, now you can recall your first equation. अभी तक equation हम नहीं लिख रहे थे. ये symbols हमने introduce ही क्यों किए? ताकि हम relationship between speed, time and distance, वो जो भी formula है, to take benefit from that formula, I need these symbols, and this is now a confirmation of that. So this formula is not for this case, for this, it is for any case, it is for all problems. And now I will take this opportunity to justify why he made that comment. Okay, collide. So in reality, the trains are on different track, yeah, and it's not necessary that they will remain straight. The track can actually move, but these are simplifications. So basically, when you are solving a math problem, you simplify it by replacing the train by a model which is simpler. Train is not simple. So what is the simplest mathematical object in this case? Do I need to know the size of the train? How many compartments? What is the brand? How old is it? Is it automatic? I don't care. Because what matters in this question is the position. What is the simplest mathematical object which has position? Point, dot. So I choose the most appropriate, the most elegant, the most, yeah. I don't want complications. If I choose a sphere, then I will have to talk about the radius of the sphere. So why not choose something which is fit for this problem? Point. So I replace one trend by a point, I replace the other trend by a point. Points are mathematical objects, they can collide, I don't care. So वो आपको उसने hint दिया था कि physically things might not be safe, but math, that's why you can design anything on a computer without actually putting someone in danger, because this is all numbers. Yeah. So you are just doing math. Next one. Yeah, so now I just write that equation because I am drawing inspiration from this equation, the general one, and these are now the specific examples. And because this, I know this involves a third variable t, about which I have not been given any data, this t will also appear in these equations, and I will use the same symbols. So n, n, n for Newark and p, p, p. So these are specific. Now this is what we don't do. We do use this equation in our problem solving. Now I am talking about the typical problem solving method prevalent in this country. We do write the equations, but when we write the specific versions, we only use numbers, and there you lose the trick. So here the specific versions also use the same symbols, and you make them specific by giving them the context, the meaning. Then you can forget about that, and now you can tell you what to add, what is constant. So you see, so choosing the symbol and choosing the subscript carefully, and it's an art, it's not science. That's why you always hear the art of problem solving. It is not the science. This is the science, but writing it this way is the art, and you need to be an artist. So इसलिए STEM में कुछ लोग air डाल लेते हैं ना, steam. So A is for the art. So after that you can easily say that the total length must be equal to the two lengths. And now what does this tell me? That those two unknowns can be solved by just playing with these equations. आपको पता है कि when you are given when you have two or more equations and more than one variables, you can eliminate some variables by exploiting the relationships. So move on. Yeah. And because you see lots and lots of symbols, now there is a question: what is constant among all these symbols when the trend meets? Which of these variables is the same? It doesn't change. It doesn't change, I mean, for the question. Of course it changes, but for the question it remains the same. T, yeah, because T is for both trends, yeah, and it will be the same number. So we can eliminate T, yeah, or we can try to eliminate even if it is not possible. So move on. So hold on. So what it means is that, what this means is that although we have used different symbols for T, TP, TN, yeah, but they are basically the same. So I can now remove the N and P because they are the same. So I can replace this with T, and I can replace this with T. Now what does that mean? That in this equation I can now rewrite this, because there are two unknowns, yeah. Because T is the same, so I can solve this for T, put T on one side, everything else on the other side. I can solve this for T, put T on the other side, everything else on the other side. Because they are the same, you make them equal, and that will give you a more informative equation where the variables can be used for elimination in this equation, because these results, the result from these two equations, when you eliminate T, can be written in these, yeah. यहाँ पे क्या है? Ln equals T times 55 with the units, Lp equals Tp times. So अब ये दोनों आप उसमें कर देंगे, ठीक है. So let's move on to the next one. Yeah, so that is the idea. T equals Tn equals Tp, and yeah, you should now think about playing with these equations, but you can just replace this, just as I said. The next one. Okay, so now, just as I said earlier, we can solve this equation for Tn, yeah, Tn, which is basically T. So what is Tn from this equation? It goes there, so it will be ln divided by 55 Vn, which is 55. Now you should stop writing Vn because now you are solving it, so you put the values. So now do you realize that writing this mi per hour, miles per hour, is actually, it takes more time. So had we chosen V without it, this math would have been easier, but we are doing it just to learn from this example. Okay? So maybe next time you can remove that. So when you solve this for Tn, it should be ln divided by not 55 but 55. That whole thing must be there, yeah, because this is a length and that is a length. You can only divide this is speed, yeah, and same goes for Tp. It will be like that. Next one. Yeah. Okay, so he goes more gradual. So keep as many stages as possible. The next one. Yeah, now he puts the actual values. Yeah. What does this equation now tell you? So when you were looking at this equation, you had one equation and two unknowns. There is no way you can solve such an equation. One equation can only be solved for one unknown. So you definitely need another equation. This is that other equation. Now two variables, two equations. You can now, it's your choice. You can either solve this for ln and plug it there, or you can solve this for ln. Eliminating variable from two equations is something which you know better than me. Okay, so that's not the remember I told you in the start of this lecture, tricks, formulas, they are never the problem. Okay, so that you can do better. Next one. Yeah, so you see, so what he did, he solved that equation for LP. So what is LP? 45 miles minus, and he substituted that here. You could have done the other way around. So don't force yourself to do this way. You could solve this for LP and put it there. It's the same thing. Maybe he found this easier. Yeah. So now you can solve this equation for. Now think ahead before doing the calculation. What will this? How will this help you? When you know ln, you will know how much is the distance between the nave arc and where they meet. So you actually solve the problem because other is just 45 minus this. Yeah. So don't just do the calculations. In every calculation, step back and see how this step is going to help me. Because maybe if you are doing something stupid, you can avoid that stupidity without trying calculations. So at every step, you must be thinking ahead. Just like driving, yeah. When you want to drive, you don't just look at the car in front of you. You look at 10 or 20 cars to avoid any possible issue, yeah. If there is a, for example, traffic jam, or then you change the track. So math problem solving, physics problem solving, STEM problem solving is also like that. Okay, you should be thinking ahead, and there is nothing fancy about it. You can easily do that. I don't want you to tell, oh, this is something for which you need a genius. No, anyone can do that. Okay. Next one. Yeah. So now you can cancel these units, yeah. But only these ones. You cannot cancel this unit, yeah, because this there are three lengths, and you cancel this and then you do your math. Next one. Yeah. Now he gets to that cancellation, yeah, and at the end you get ln equals 19 miles. Just for the trick part, I want to know whether some of you can recall tricks, okay? Although this is not about tricks. You multiply 55 and 45, yeah? He gets this answer, yeah? How can you avoid calculator and do it quickly?
I can just subtract 5 from the 55 and
Yeah.
add 5 to the 45. So 50 multiplied by
So
50
it's
is
a plus b,
25.
a minus b. A squared minus b squared. Yeah. So bingo. Okay. And the next one is simply 45 miles minus ln. Okay. Yeah, we're done. And now you can look at that fancy, professional, technical solution. Now you can understand it. He has done those same things but in one slide. Now what we do, this is our teaching. Yeah? We prepare notes, we spend time, we spend hours, we download material from the internet. We don't realize how much time it took in addition to the time it took for us to learn it in the first place in our 20 or 30 years of education. And then we expect the student to learn it in one lecture. That is a failed strategy. That is a failed strategy. There is no question about it. So you can only reduce the pace by placing yourself in their shoes. Yeah? And that is what this unpacking, and not just unpacking, explicit unpacking, EP. Okay. So if there are any questions, I can take these questions and then we can move on to the next one. The next example will be quick.
So my thought is that by solving it like this, you are taking a systematic kind of a strategy for an abstract problem, right? So is there a risk that you're actually preventing something that you wanted to happen? You wanted abstract thinking to happen, but in order to solve the problem, you are reducing the abstract situation to a very sort of a formula type approach. So by doing that, you're actually developing the capacity for abstract thinking.
Okay.
So that's just a thought.
Let me come to that. There are actually two things in response to that. One is that your process, your own process, and I assume that you are an expert. Okay, if you are just copying it from others, then this is not a discussion for you. Then, if you are an expert, your problem solving process is very non-linear. It takes many jumps, it takes helps, hints from many other disciplines, as I said in the beginning. So one thing is to remove that and make it actually a linear process. But linear process, of course, is not helpful either. So if you think about it, you are involving the students. You see, it is not one way. You are making them part of the process, and because you are asking them to take notes at each step, from each step they learn a new avenue. So actually what they are learning is a strategy, not a specific problem. So you can expect them to repeat that strategy, and of course this is not a single problem. You have to solve at least 5 to 10 problems in this manner, and then they will actually understand the whole game. कि जो चीज़ें मुझसे छुपाई जा रही थी, ये तो सारी हर प्रॉब्लम में स्ट्रेटजी एक ही है. Of course they will accumulate facts, तो of course facts उनके accumulate होते जाएंगे, लेकिन वो जो गेम है ना वो उनको समझ आ जाएगी. गेम समझ आ जाएगी, and they will still come to you, but they will come to you for specific questions, and each time they solve a problem, the number of visits will reduce, and on one day they will be free. So it's a gradual. I don't think this is a magic. हाँ, हमारा अब क्या है? Just like Einstein explained it, that what is stupidity? It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different. So what we are doing the same process. We never involve the students in problem solving, because that goes against our ego. Yeah, that puts us at a disadvantage in comparison to our competitor. मेरा competitor जो एकेडमी है या स्कूल है, वो चीज़ें सॉल्व करके दे रहा है. मैं कह रहा हूँ ना तुम आ जाओ, तो बच्चे मेरे पास तो नहीं आएंगे ना फिर. That's the problem basically. You for this to and I don't expect magic from these lectures, because I know there are only a few minds who agree with this and who can actually afford to adopt this strategy. Yeah, but I'm not hopeless. There are people, I know there are people who want to do it this way. So maybe one day things can change. Yeah. Yes, yeah.
मुझे भी वर्ड प्रॉब्लम मुश्किल लगती थी अपने स्कूल डेज का सोच रहा हूँ, राइट? तो वो मुझे सोच रहा हूँ कि मुश्किल क्यों लगती थी। तो एक चीज़ माइंड में ये आ रही है कि क्योंकि जब आप सिंपल जब वर्ड प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, जब जैसे कोई इक्वेशन है, तो वो एक आप ऑटो पे चल रहे होते हैं कि जी इक्वेशन है, उसको इस तरह सॉल्व करना है, बगैर
XY
बगैर सोचे भी आप उसको सॉल्व कर लेते हैं। लेकिन जब आप एक कहानी, वर्ड प्रॉब्लम का मतलब है एक कहानी, जब वो आप देखते हैं तो वो फिर उसको ऑटो में नहीं कर सकते, राइट? तो एक मैं चीज़ सोच रहा था कि क्या इससे हेल्प होगा कि अगर आप स्टूडेंट को कहें कि अच्छा ये जो वर्ड प्रॉब्लम है इसको आप अपने वर्ड्स में लिखें कि ये हो क्या रहा है, क्योंकि बाज़ दफ़ा ये मतलब वो आप उसको घूरते रह जाते हैं कि यार ये है क्या, ये कहानी, क्योंकि आप कहानी मोड में नहीं
I think
होते।
the second one, the second slide was
Maybe वो
kind of
something like that.
Yeah, like where there you were writing phrases. Yeah.
कि वो कहानी मोड में आपका ब्रेन है नहीं,
So
उसको
that's why I told you it's a very boring exercise.
जी।
And if you have noticed, I also got bored at many places. Yeah? Because I discussed things that took 3 or 4 slides. So I wanted those things to come up quickly, and it took 3 to 4 slides. So it is actually an exercise of your patience as well. So it is very boring, but it will pay off. So, and as I said earlier, before you guys came, I told him that it's about language. It's not about math. You lack problem solving skills because of language. Yeah. If your language is is the language you use in WhatsApp, Facebook, yeah, Instagram, Roblox, Minecraft, that language is informal. So you need to write proper English, proper, complete sentences. So as an exercise, I mean, even if you are not a teacher, if you have kids, if you have students, and if they write to you, make them write proper English. Do not reply to them unless they write proper email. If they say these short slang, I don't even reply to such emails unless they write proper English. Yeah, I refuse to reply to those emails, because the students know that okay, they have to write something proper. क्योंकि इंग्लिश जब तक आपकी ठीक नहीं होगी, आप कोई भी ढंग का काम नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है ना? हम ये there is a debate about doing it in your mother tongue, but we are way behind. Okay, if that is a dream which will take maybe a century. So if you want to keep up with, and even if you catch up, the world will have actually moved ahead. Yeah. So English language, there is no escape. Yeah. And by English language I mean proper English. Maybe sir can actually comment on this, because the one who is an authority on this is not speaking.
You know, this morning I was teaching maths to my daughter who's in class 5, and she was doing wonderfully well. The questions like 5 books, the weight of 5 books is 2 kilogram. How much is the weight of 1 book? And one of the questions was, 5 books weigh 2 kg. How much does 1 book weigh?
So the weight is replaced by weigh.
She didn't know the verb weigh, and she came to me and she said, "This is a different problem."
You see?
I asked her, how is it different? Now, I teach English language. That's my subject. And I think that's important because we make the same kind of mistake when we teach languages. We give them the topic and we say, okay, write an essay on it. And I know that writing an essay involves a lot of steps, so we don't teach it as a process, we just teach it as a product. And we expect the same thing here. When I write an essay, I actually undergo various stages. So before I write an essay, I write a paragraph. Before I write a paragraph, I write a sentence. And before I write a sentence, I write a phrase. So this is how I construct it. And
Unpacking, yeah?
yeah,
This is now unpacking.
And the students, they don't know it. So I just, this is what we mostly do. We just give them the topic and expect the whole thing. And when they look at the finished product, they
Wow.
are just, yeah,
Wow.
they are just impressed and rather depressed because they can't come up with such a wonderful answer themselves. But there is one thing that I would like to also share. That is our pathetic education system. So most of the times when I teach my daughter, she's a great problem solver. But because I use such strategies to teach her, she is often discouraged by her teachers. And she says, no, I need exactly the same steps, exactly the same symbols, and I don't want any of this. In fact, I think
Now, what
once
can
she
you
wrote,
do about
yeah. Actually, she was penalized for once or twice, and my wife said that you better not teach her maths.
No, so what they could conclude is that you are part of the problem.
Yeah. But I know that my strategy works because I have my son sitting here, and although he also struggled when he was young because the way I taught did not match with
His name, kindly?
Saad
Saad,
Rashid.
okay.
But now he performs much better than the others because his concepts are clear. So I think the same thing will happen with my daughter. But it's I think
Yeah,
very
so what I can-
painful to know that this is how our education system works, and they don't actually allow these details which are required at an early stage. So thank you very much for such a insightful lecture, I would say.
And thank you for making this connection, because I was under the impression that only we face these problems. So I think it's in every discipline. So every discipline what I can generalize from Sir's comments is that every discipline will have this unpacking process, and the experts should not expect the novices to learn that overnight. So yeah, so that's what I can.
Breaking the system and making the system.
Yeah. You wanted to ask something? Yeah.
जी सर मैं उर्दू में सवाल पूछूंगा.
Yes.
ऐसा है कि जो अभी स्ट्रेटजीज़ आपने बताई हैं, तो जब हमने फ़िज़िक्स पढ़ना स्टार्ट की 9th क्लास में, तो हमें भी टीचर्स ने बिल्कुल यही सेम स्ट्रेटजीज़ बताई, और कुछ टीचर्स इसको फॉलो भी करते थे, और हमारा भी फिर ऐसा ही डेवलप होता रहा एटीट्यूड प्रॉब्लम्स की तरफ, और जब भी हम टैकल करते थे और इसी तरह का डेटा हम लिखते थे. लेकिन हम ये देखते हैं ना कि जब हम यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में जाते हैं तो फिर ये एटीट्यूड नहीं फॉलो होता, तो फिर आप जो है डायरेक्ट इक्वेशंस पे जाते हैं और डायरेक्ट जंप इन करते हैं, मतलब वैल्यूज़ को डायरेक्ट करते हैं. तो फिर इससे ये होता है कि स्टूडेंट्स वो जो पीछे से चला आ रहा होता है उसको वो अपने माइंड में कनेक्ट नहीं कर पाते, जिसकी वजह से फिर प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं. एक तो सर,
So you mean they don't get enough time?
बिल्कुल सर.
To reflect. Okay.
एक तो ये है सर, और दूसरा सर मेरा ये सवाल है आपसे कि जब आप अभी इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ाते हैं या किसी भी मतलब हाई लेवल कोर कोर्सेज पढ़ाते हैं, तो उसमें आप ये फॉलो करते हैं स्टेप्स?
Of course.
क्योंकि
the process is the same, I'll tell you. Only the details. So the example, I will not be using this example, I'll be using another example. Maybe I can quickly, if you skip that kinetics thing, because we are running out of time, just go for another one and then you will see how I use this in engineering, okay? Even if you cannot follow everything. My example, just go to my example. This was a very challenging, this is okha question tha na, teda. So because mass spring system, and of course what makes this problem difficult is that there are no values. There are only symbols. So you learn symbols, and the question is also in terms of symbols. So then what do you do? Okay. So for example, what do you see here? If you read it, the four springs shown here have been compressed. So they are compressed from their equilibrium position at x is equal to 0. So this is the equilibrium. Many people think that is the equilibrium by looking at the diagram, but things don't go by how you feel. Okay, you have to read the question. X is equal to 0. So this is the equilibrium, no matter how convincing that sounds. Okay, when released, so you have released each one of them from here. When released from these new positions, the attached mass will start to oscillate. So each one will start to oscillate because now it has energy, potential energy. Now rank in order from highest to lowest the maximum speed from A, B, C to D. तो इसमें कौन सा maximum है, कौन सा इसके बाद है, कौन सा lowest है. So the problem, I don't want you to recall many things. So the formula, everyone knows the formulas. There is something called omega, which is k over m square rooted. So regardless of whether you can understand or recall this formula or not, this one formula, and then once you know, calculate. Now why is this important? Because k is given here and m is given here. Yes. So you plug those values for each one of them, you get omega, and then you multiply that omega to amplitude. And what is the amplitude in this case, for example? It starts from 0. So the amplitude is 5. Yeah. What is the amplitude for this?
It's for 20.
20.
Yes.
The same for the other one.
Yes.
And what is the amplitude for the last one? 10. So it means that everything is in there. Yeah. So all you need to do is to calculate this for each one of them and then compare. Now the problem, this will be much easier if you were given the values. And now if you see, the formula also uses k and m. So what you, just like we wrote an equation in that previous example, V equals L over T. Yeah. So I will say omega equals k over m and then square rooted. Now the problem is this is also k and this is half k. So now how can I use the same? Can I say k is equal to half k? Oh, I can't do that. So the formula is now the problem. I will not write the formula in the original form because those symbols are now used in the example.
Yes.
So I change the formula by attaching a label to it, and that label goes from A, B, C, D. Now this actually dispels a myth that our variables should only have numbers 1, 2, 3. What are the values of alpha here?
A, B, C.
A, B, C, D, and there is nothing wrong with it. A variable is just an unknown, as you said. So there is no rule that it can only get numbers. Here I define alpha to be a variable who takes values from the alphabet A, B, C, D. And now suddenly this calculation becomes possible. So now that k and that half k will be plugged. So what will be k A, for example? K A is k, kb half k, and the rest you can imagine is easily. So these are the improvisations. So you see, without this SLEU method I could never have actually, I know how to solve this,
Yes.
but how to explain it to the engineering students was a hell. So I used the SLEU method to actually solve the problem. Explicit unpacking, subscript. Yeah. अब ये subscript आप ना लगाओ, आप कैसे solve करोगे उसके? You can't even use this equation. और फिर हमारे जो देसी शॉर्टकट्स होते हैं, m equals half m. That is wrong. You cannot set m to half m because that would mean that 1 is equal to half. समझ आ गई? So or m is equal to 0. So this will be needed at every level. Yeah, that's the details differ, but the strategy is the same. And maybe I don't want to say that this is the best strategy, but what I wanted to convey is that whether you follow this strategy or not, you should bring some organization into your teaching. It should not be a haphazard a cookbook approach. I don't like the cookbook approach. Yeah, جیسے گائیڈ اٹھا لیا ہاں اور جو ہے نا وہ ادھر سے ٹیسٹ پیپر پرانے پیپر سالو کرو. آئی ڈونٹ نو وٹ کائنڈ آف ٹیچنگ از دیٹ. ٹیسٹ پیپر سالو کر رہے ہوتے ہیں. مائی کڈز ناؤ دے برنگ می ٹیسٹ پیپرز اینڈ یو ووڈنٹ بلیو دیٹ دوز ٹاپکس ور ناٹ ٹاٹ ٹو دیم اینڈ they are made to solve those questions. آپ نے تو وہ ایگزامپل دیا, میں بھی ایگزامپل آپ کو دے دیتا ہوں. اس میں ایک ٹرم تھا اس نے سنا ہی نہیں تھا. میں نے کہا کیسے؟ کہتے ہیں بس ٹیچر نے دیا ہے یہ پرانے پیپرز ہیں اور ہم نے سالو کرنے ہیں. سو اینڈ آئی کین امیجن دس ول بی ہیپننگ ان مینی اکیڈمیز. کیونکہ مقصد وہ کوشچنس وہ نمبرز گیم ہے کہ ہم نے 1000 کوشچن سالو کیے ہیں, کروائے ہیں. اب وہ کیسے کروائے ہیں, nobody discusses that. So punch line کیا ہے؟ Do not go for the number of questions you solve. Solve one question, but اس question سے آپ اتنا وہ نکال دینا بھوسا کہ وہ ایک question 100 کے برابر ہو. And you can make it happen. Yeah. And of course this is not possible without involving them. So یہ نہیں ہے کہ بس آپ ہی بولتے رہیں. مطلب they must be part of the process. Yeah, interaction.
تھوڑا سا یہ بھی بتا دیں کہ یہ پروسیس جو ہے وہ جنرک ہے کسی بھی پرابلم کو سالو کرنے کے لیے, ناٹ اونلی میتھمیٹکس.
Of course وہ سر آلریڈی ایکسپلین کر چکے ہیں نا.
اور بھی جو چیزیں ہم شروع میں
بالکل 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 بالکل. It's the same process. And I can now imagine, we don't have anyone from medicine, but I can imagine someone from medicine will also come up with something very similar.
For it all, I think we would have to invite the intention of the policymaker, or we have to sit with the policymaker, how to devise the policymaking, how to change the syllabus, and how to integrate the minds, and how to
The
make it
policymakers have other things to do. I don't think this is a priority.
Things are on all basis on it. Mechanics need
I
to be
think
changed.
I believe in ground up processes. So first we have to set up a few examples. So I need to be able to showcase a few examples. I don't think this lecture is enough as a showcase. Yeah. So we should come up with, for example, some case studies where students from each school or from some schools. Maybe you can just promise that okay, you apply this method, and maybe next year or after 6 months we come up with some statistics and with some interviews. Yeah. Or some surveys. Yeah. So only then people
It
take
means
it
we would
seriously.
have to make the pickets and different minds, different levels, different, you can say, coaches or instructor are to be assigned on them.
Yeah.
It means entirely we have to change the things. Okay.
Yes, sir. I think sir wants to say something.
میں ایک آبزرویشن شیئر کرنا چاہتا ہوں. جب ہم لوگ اسٹوڈنٹ تھے تو سمپل مشینز ہوا کرتی تھی ہمارے ارد گرد, تو ہمیں لگتا تھا جو کچھ ہم پڑھ رہے ہیں ہم یہ خود سالو کر سکتے ہیں.
ٹھیک ہے.
اب ہمارے ارد گرد جو ہیں وہ بہت کمپلیکس مشینز ہیں جن کو ہم پرچیز کرتے ہیں, خود سے سالو بھی نہیں کرتے. ہم کنزیومر سوسائٹی میں رہتے ہیں, تو اسٹوڈنٹس بھی میں نے دیکھا ہے کہ وہ میتھس بھی پڑھ رہے ہیں, فزکس بھی پڑھ رہے ہیں, بٹ ان کے ذہن میں یہ ہوتا ہے کہ ڈگری ہوگی, جاب ہوگی, پیسے ہوں گے تو ہم یہ ساری چیزیں خریدیں گے.
ٹھیک ہے.
وہ پرابلم سالونگ ایٹیٹیوڈ جو ہم بچپن میں دیکھتے تھے کہ وہ ہمارے ارد گرد وہ مشینیں تھیں جو ہم خود بنا لیتے تھے. وہ ہتھی والی جو ہے وہ نلکے کی وہ ہوتا تھا, یا وہ اسپننگ ٹاپ ہوتا تھا, وہ اس کو لٹو کو یا پتنگ اڑاتے تھے, یا اور ہمارے ارد گرد بھی چیزیں تھیں جن کو ہم ٹھیک کیا کرتے تھے. لیکن اب وہ کمپیوٹرائزڈ گاڑی ہے, اس کو تو یہ کھول کے ٹھیک نہیں کر سکتا جو تانگے کو ٹھیک کر لیتے تھے یا اور گاڑیوں کو ٹھیک کر لیتے ہیں. اب اس کی وجہ سے بھی لوگوں کا فوکس جو ہے وہ اس کی طرف زیادہ ہے, ڈگری پہ. وہ جو سکلز ریکوائرڈ ہیں اور پرابلمس کو سالونگ, اس کا نتیجہ یہ ہے کہ اب ہماری یونیورسٹیز سے ڈگری ہولڈرز آتے ہیں بٹ دے کانٹ سالو پرابلمس. ریئل لائف پرابلمس بہت کم بچے ہوتے ہیں جو سالو کر پاتے ہیں. زیادہ تر جو ہے وہ ہاں یہ سالو کر لیتے ہیں, ہاں پیپر پہ وہ سالو کر لیتے ہیں, یہ کویشچنز ایکویشنز بھی حل کر لیتے ہیں, لیکن جو ریئل لائف پرابلمز ہیں وہ نہیں سالو کر پاتے بہت سارے بچے.
Projects, I mean projects,
projects.
Projects and labs. So to actually address that issue, I would say increase the number of projects you give in your course, and that should involve some hands-on exercises and also labs. So of course یہ ایک problem ہے. لیکن STEM ایجوکیشن اکثر لوگ STEM ایجوکیشن کرتے ہیں لیکن وہ اس لیول پہ جو ہے نا وہ نہیں آتے. وہ سیدھا جمپ مارتے ہیں کہ ہم روبوٹکس کی پروگرامنگ آپ کو سکھاتے ہیں. اب جب زیرو سے اس کو وہاں لے گئے تو وہاں پہ بھی وہ روٹ لرننگ ہی کر رہے ہوتے ہیں, کاپی پیسٹ کوڈ نا. سو the ideal strategy is to have this intermediate stage in which you carefully design activities in which they are required to deal with unfinished systems, جس کو ٹرینرس کہتے ہیں, لیب میں اس کو ٹرینرس کہتے ہیں. تو فخر ول بی اویئر آف اٹ. فخر از ود اس ان فاسٹ, سو ہی از اے لیب انجینئر. تو وہاں پہ ٹرینرز آپ نے دیکھا ہوگا کہ ہاں
لیکن
ہینڈز آن اس میں آ جاتے ہیں. بٹ دس
ابھی ریسنٹ اس دفعہ فیڈرل بورڈ نے ہمیں ایک انسٹرکشنز بھیجی ہیں پریکٹیکل کے حوالے سے, فزکس, کیمسٹری اور میتھس کی, 9th 10th فرسٹ ایئر سیکنڈ ایئر کی. اس میں پریکٹیکل کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ ایک پریکٹیکل ریٹن پیپر ہے, ایم سی کیوز ہیں. مثلاً آپ یہ پریکٹیکل آپ نے کرنا ہے, سالٹ انالیسز کرنا ہے, تو آپ کو اس کے لیے کیا آپریٹس چاہیے, نیچے 4 آپشنز ہیں, یہ آپریٹس آپ وہ بچے نے ٹک کرنی. تو یعنی دوبارہ پریکٹیکل کے نام پہ بھی تھیوری, اور یہ فیڈرل بورڈ نے اس کا آغاز کیا, باقی بورڈز نے ابھی اس طرح کی ہاں نہیں ابھی کرنا ہے, لیکن ہم نے تو ابھی سے ہی آغاز ظاہر ہے اسکولس کالجز میں یہ کر دیا. تو یہ تو پالیسی میکرز تو بالکل الٹ سمت میں جا
نا, کوگنیٹو میں آ گیا.
جی یہ
پہلے تو یہ ہوتا تھا کہ جو ایکسپیریمنٹس ہوتے ہیں ان کی ہمیں سمجھ نہیں آتی تھی, بٹ کوئی فن ہوتا تھا کہ ہم وہاں پہ کر رہے ہیں, کچھ سمجھ آ رہی ہے جو کانسیپٹ ہم اپلائی کریں. لیکن اب تو جب سے یہ آیا اس کے بعد ہمیں کہتے ہیں کہ اس کا الگ سے ایگزام ہوگا. اب ہم لیب جاتے نہیں, ایکسپیریمنٹس نہیں ہوتے, صرف جو ہے ٹیچرز یہ کہتے ہیں کہ ایکسپیریمنٹ کو رٹا مال. سو یہاں پہ جو کانسیپٹ ہمیں بکس کے اندر سمجھایا جاتا ہے وہ پھر ہم اپلائی اگر کہیں کرنا چاہیں تو اس کو ہم کہاں اپلائی کریں.
کیا حل کیا ہے؟ یہ تو میری بس ہو گئی. اب مسئلے کا حل بھی چاہیے نا.
بس یہ مینشن کرنا چاہ رہا تھا کہ ہم یہ یہاں جو سسٹم ہے پاکستان میں, ٹھیک ہے, اس پہ ہم اس پہ افسوس ہمیں ہو سکتا ہے, لیکن یہ پوری دنیا میں ہو رہا ہے. فار ایگزامپل او اے لیولس کو لے لیں تو میرے خیال میں اب یہ ہو گیا ہے کہ او لیولس کے جیسے جو سائنس سبجیکٹس ہیں, فزکس, کیمسٹری وغیرہ, تو اس میں ایک پیپر ہوتا ہے جس کو وہ کہتے ہیں کہ جی پیپر ان دا ایز اے ریپلیسمنٹ آف پریکٹیکل. تو وہ پیپرز اس طرح ہوتے ہیں, اور میرے خیال میں شاید اے لیولز میں ابھی بھی لیب میں پریکٹیکل ایگزامز ہو رہے ہیں, بٹ او لیولز میں یہ ہو رہے ہیں. اور یہ اس کا کیوں یہ ہو رہا ہے کہ جی ریسورسز بچانے کے لیے, چیزیں آسان کرنے کے لیے, لیکن اس سے ایک بہت ویلیبل چیز ہم لوز کر رہے ہیں. تو اس کے میرے خیال میں اس کو پش بیک کرنا چاہیے کہ اگر ایگزام نہیں بھی ہے تو وہ پریکٹیکل مطلب ایکسپیریمنٹس ہوں لیبز میں, لیب پیریڈز ہوں, اور اسکولز یہ کرائیں, کیونکہ صرف یہ ایگزام پاس کرنا تو نہیں ہے نا جی. لرننگ
خود گھر میں کرنے پڑیں گے. اسکولس تو وہی کرے گا جو ریکوائرمنٹ ہے, وہ they would not do anything extra.
جی
تو I would request everyone to actually introduce these activities at home. گھر میں ہم بہت ساری چیزیں کراتے ہیں نا, برتھ ڈے پارٹیز میں کیا کیا نہیں ہوتا. تو اگر وہی خرچہ ہم ایکسپیریمنٹس پہ کر دیں تو قیامت نہیں آئے گی, ٹھیک ہے نا. So I mean it's about what you value. If you value something, then there are no excuses. Thank you everyone. It was a wonderful interaction with you.